And I want to share you guys one of my absolute favorite memes, which to me, this is a perfect example of what's actually been going on as it relates to the American consumer. We have our pharmacy benefit managers pointing at Big Pharma and Big Pharma pointing back at our pharmacy benefit managers. Now, there's also a reason why Pharma is spending millions of dollars over here to trash PBMs. And that's also to distract the American people from their central role in driving up costs while stuffing their own pockets. And what I want to know is why we're not actually investigating real family corruption. They want to attack President Biden's family, who actually never worked in the White House, which is incredibly hypocritical. Yet we have not yet talked about these guys that actually worked in the White House. Now, we do know today that we're not here because of any wrongdoing of President Biden, but because this is all part of Donald Trump's campaign. And his most extreme allies, including some members of this committee, are now retaliating. In fact, some members have been trying to impeach the president since day one. Now, this is a tweet here. I'm going to read it. It says, 2 years ago, I introduced articles to impeach Joe Biden on his first full day in office. We will impeach Biden, bolded with an exclamation point. And you see the actual resolution here. So we have the receipts to prove it. There really is no reason why. They don't care why they want to impeach the president, but they've been trying to do it now for years. Here you have, of course, a member of this oversight committee posting about introducing articles of impeachment on President Biden's very first day in office. And now the Speaker of the House is empowering these people in a desperate attempt to keep his job. This next tweet, actually, and I'll just go ahead and read what it says here. It says by a member of this committee, the FDA should not approve the COVID vaccines. There are too many reports of infection and spread of COVID-19 among vaccinated people.
The government coordinated with social media companies to make sure people like me had our accounts suspended. While they allow porn to proliferate, anyone is allowed to attack Donald Trump. There's actually plenty of proof that the government colluded with social media to censor people, and I'm one of them right here.
But let's go ahead and read some of these quotes that a member of this subcommittee has actually said. These are public quotes about religion. Let's go through those. Satan's controlling the church. The church is not doing its job. This comment was made just in 2020 by a member of this subcommittee. The same member of the subcommittee said that Muslims, quote, do not belong in our government. I also find that very offensive. The same representative of the subcommittee has mocked and vilified Muslim members of Congress, saying they represent, and I quote, an invasion of our government, and accused them of being terrorist sympathizers because of their religion.
President Trump never spoke any language of racism or hate. He did, however, call, and many of us have, called the COVID-19 virus the Wuhan flu, the China virus, because we feel it originated from China. The intelligence community is able to figure out immediately who was leaking classified information in a Discord chat, but yet still doesn't want to say whether it came from the lab or didn't come from the lab. The intelligence communities seem to release or not release information based on how the information will affect the government that it seems to protect.
I do want to start, Mr. Chairman, by just responding to one of the committee members who just made some comments trying to link the origins of COVID to some of the national security leaks that are very concerning that we've been discussing recently. It's important to note that this committee itself cannot have credibility to discuss sensitive intelligence information if members of the majority are going to publicly defend people who continue to leak top secret information, which is in violation of their oaths of office. This member of the committee, these members of the committee have defended Jack Teixeira, who has been arrested for leaking classified information. Let's be very clear, just to clarify that, he was no whistleblower. He wasn't telling the truth or trying to serve the public. And all the evidence shows that he has recklessly shared classified information to impress friends in a private chat, of which was also racist memes and jokes. If he is found guilty, he should be held fully accountable under law, and anyone who defended him should be ashamed. And so, again, we want to ensure that if we're going to actually talk about important information, the origins of COVID, we should actually focus on COVID, on the pandemic, and not trying to link this to someone who betrayed our country. I yield back the remainder of my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to just begin by recapping for the American people what we've seen so far today. My Democratic colleagues have done a great job of showing that there's absolutely zero evidence linking President Joe Biden to any wrongdoing. Zero, none. This hearing is a complete waste of time 2 days before a MAGA government shutdown. And we also know that Hunter Biden never held any sort of public office. And there is no evidence that he ever influenced any kind of policy in the White House. There's no evidence that he and his father's finances were ever linked, and we've spoken to many witnesses to prove that. And in fact, none of the witnesses here actually have any direct evidence that there's any sort of wrongdoing, and that was repeated here by these witnesses. So instead, we're back to falling on MAGA conspiracy theories that Rudy Giuliani parroted over and over again. This farce is all about House Republicans trying to re-elect their beloved leader, Donald Trump. They want to talk about Jared Kushner, who's right over here. We know that Jared Kushner, who's Donald Trump's son-in-law, was given enormous power in the White House. When Jared joined the White House, he was so unfit and unqualified and with so many conflicts of interest, he couldn't even get a security clearance. His father-in-law, Donald Trump, had to intervene, overriding national security officials. We also know that just months after Jared left the White House, the Saudi royal family gave him $2 billion, with a B, into the Kushner hedge fund. And right now, Jared is pocketing an additional $25 million a year in fees. This is a man who was put at the head of Middle East policy in the White House. We know he personally intervened to give the Saudis a $110 billion arms deal that was opposed by folks all across the government. He supported the Saudis with their brutal war in Yemen, even after they murdered Jamal Khashoggi, a journalist, of course, who was an American resident. The Saudi crown prince bragged to other heads of state that Kushner, and I quote, was in his pocket. Even Trump's first Secretary of State complained that this is inappropriate. Now, Jared delivered for the Saudis over and over again, and he was rewarded. Even advisors to the crown prince advised against the $2 billion hedge fund investment, yet he went forward anyways. So we know that Jared Kushner, a senior White House aide and Donald Trump's son-in-law, was doing favors for a foreign government. Now, this is actually an enormous family scandal that this committee should be investigating. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses that are here. Certainly, there's been a lot of finger-pointing that's gone on between the PBMs, of course, and our big pharmaceutical companies. It's happened here today at this hearing. And I just think it's important also to note who the big PBMs are. We've been hearing the term PBM a lot. We're talking about CVS Health, Cigna, United Health, a lot of these large PBM companies. We know that last year, the three major PBMs, of which I just mentioned, here in the U.S. made almost $30 billion in profits. That's a 483% increase over just the past decade. And I'm glad there's been bipartisan support and input on how to deal with this approach and ensure that the American public, of course, gets better costs for them when they are receiving the medication that they deserve and need. These are serious conversations about antitrust regulations, about enforcement, and we also have been noted multiple times that PBMs control almost 80% of the entire market, which is enormous. PBMs also integrate with insurance companies and pharmacies to funnel businesses to their own pharmacies and retailers. Now, there's also a reason why pharma is spending millions of dollars over here to trash PBMs. And that's also to distract the American people from their central role in driving up costs while stuffing their own pockets. The 8 big pharma players, AbbVie, Amgen, Bristol-Myers Squibb, Eli Lilly, Gilead, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and Pfizer earned $110 billion in profits in 2022. And by the way, according to the Senate Finance Committee, paid only 2% in taxes. And so I want to make sure that these companies are called out by name on both the pharmacies, on both the big pharma side and also the PBM side. Now, in the 5-year period from 2016 to 2020, pharmaceutical companies raised the prices of branded prescription drugs by 36%. That's 4 times the rate of inflation. From 2016 to 2020, the 14 leading drug companies spent $577 billion on buybacks and stocks, which is $56 billion more than they spent on research and development over the same period of time.